Hi, this is Sally Morgan, physical therapist, craniosacral therapist, and Tellington T-Touch practitioner for animals and people. And this is Tristan. He's a Corgi. And this is episode 126 or so of Conversations with a Corgi. And today we're going to continue our talk about tuning forks. And today the forks we'll be talking about are the body tuners. There's two of them. One is long and is at C, 256 hertz. And the other one is shorter, and that one is at a G, which is 384 hertz. So used together, they create in music what we call a perfect fifth, because they are at the ratio of 3 to 2 to each other. And this combination of tones is very powerful, and it creates a gateway to healing, to higher consciousness, and listening to these two tones become one vibrates throughout your body, and it's supposed to integrate your mind and your body, because this tone is very relaxing on a very deep level. So it integrates your mind and body, and it also brings your central nervous system into a balance, which is a very important thing, because as we've talked about so many times, when you're in that parasympathetic response of rest and recovery, you are calm and relaxed, and you have an ability to learn. When you're in that stress response in the sympathetic nervous system, you are in fear, fight, flight, faint, and you are unable to learn. So relaxation in the body is really important. And actually in one of her radio interviews, I believe it was the one with Linda Tellington, in fact, my sister even commented that she has noticed relaxation in the body is critical for health and for an ability to function well in the world. When you're an animal, you often have behaviors that are disruptive or that are undesirable, that are associated with a very tense body. So the power of these two tuning forks to bring relaxation throughout the body is a really important thing, particularly because of that balance with the central nervous system. And within 30 seconds, you can start to achieve a state of unification and relaxation in the body, listening to these tones. And that same relaxation you could achieve after maybe 45 minutes of meditation. So listening for 30 seconds to this tone is a really important thing. And the other thing I want to remind you of, the minimum you need to stretch a muscle in order to create a change in the fascia and to bring back a new formation of the muscle in the body is 30 seconds. If you stretch for less than 30 seconds, you're actually damaging the muscle and engaging what they call the Golgi tendon organ, which in fact will cause the muscle to shorten, not lengthen. So 30 seconds is a really important amount of time, and that's what they recommend using these tuning forks sound for, is 30 seconds. And you'll see a shift in relaxation in the body and the emotional state if you listen to this sound for 30 seconds. I don't know that we'll do it for 30 seconds, but I will play them for you here, and hopefully you can hear them. And I'm thinking you'd have to strike them 2 or 3 times to get that 30 seconds. And, that's the minimum. You can strike them 4 or 5 times and achieve a minute of hearing that sound. But these are the two of the sounds that the developer of Biosonics heard vibrating in his body, the sound in his body when he was in that black box with no ability to hear, see anything in the world, just his body, and he tuned into the sounds in his body, and these are those sounds. Now these forks you can use on either side of your head. It's really intense. I don't know if Tristan will enjoy that this morning. He's kind of curious, but you can really feel it vibrating right from your ears through the middle of your head. So if I had an animal who had had a stroke, for instance, I might want to use these a little far away because their hearing is so much better than ours. And they are really great. I sometimes will use these to strike at the end of a yoga class. There is a fork that is tuned to the vibration of Om, which I also use, because it does impart that sense of relaxation for the whole body and the nervous system. So you can use them that way. I have also used these when I don't have the weighted forks available directly on the body. So I've been able to strike them, and they don't really vibrate nearly as much as the ones with the weights to be used on the body. So I use these for in other ways. If I'm trying to achieve a piece of relaxation, maybe at the spinal segment in my son here, I will hold them on either side of the segment that I'm trying to get some mobility in. Really powerful. If you put this across your body, you will feel the difference it makes. Now, if you're only buying one tuning fork, of course, I would recommend the C128 fork, which we've already talked about. However, these forks are also a valuable part of anyone's modalities to turn to if you're doing a healing practice, because they are tuned to the vibrations in a body. So let's just talk about body vibrations for a minute. Two people, Gary Young and a man named Bruce Tynio, have done some research on the different vibrational properties of different parts of the body. For instance, the thyroid and the parathyroid vibrate between 62 and 68 mHz, the lungs 65 to 58, liver and gallbladder 56 to 60, the thymus, which is a gland near your heart, is 65 to 68, the heart itself is 67, the spleen is 60 to 80. The body and the limbs are generally between 60 and 80. And the average human body in daytime vibrates between 62 and 68 mHz. And the bones are at a lower frequency. They are at 38 to 43 mHz, which is in fact the vibrational frequency that comes off the human hand when you're doing healing work. And so really important, even if you're not doing healing work, just putting your hands on a healing bone can really help that bone recover and mend. And I told this to someone I work with who recently had several fractures in her neck. And she said, oh, that's so interesting, because she often will spend part of the day with her hands just on her neck because she feels that it brings relief. And in fact, she is doing a remarkable job of healing and is exceeding all of the expectations of the doctors in her recovery. So let's look at some of the vibrational frequencies in the digestive system. The ascending colon is 50 to 60 hertz. The stomach is 56 to 68. The transverse colon, descending colon, small intestine, and the sigmoid colon and rectum are a little lower at 58 to 63. So it's important to keep this in mind when you think about the food that's going through your digestive system. And then we have higher frequencies in the brain. The normal brain of a human, and I think this applies to most animals, is around 72 hertz. The range in the brain goes from 72 to 90 hertz. And remember, these forks are at 256 and 384. So they are going to serve to raise the vibration of dysfunction up to a normal level. The genius brain is at 80 to 82 hertz. And the neck and head in general is 72 to 78. And spiritual frequencies are between 92 and 360 hertz. So one of these forks, this one, the G, is 364. So that's getting into some of the spiritual realm of frequency, which is one reason it's so relaxing to the central nervous system. So let's just look at foods for a quick second. Fresh food, just picked great food, is 20 to 27 hertz. That is a fresh piece of organic lettuce. Herbs, same thing. Fresh organic herbs, 20 to 27 hertz. Dried foods, a little less high in frequency, 15 to 22. The same is true for dried herbs. Any food that's been processed or canned vibrates at a frequency of 0 hertz. This includes microwave foods, who, if they could vibrate with a negative frequency, that would be what you would apply to a microwave food. So the frequencies increase when you have fresh picked and organic foods. So remember, the digestive system was back around 38 to 40 hertz. So you want to feed that something that is coming in at the frequency of 27 hertz, like a fresh picked piece of organic lettuce. Because at that point, your body doesn't have to work so hard to get nutrients from the food that you're providing it. So really important to understand these frequencies and their role in our health, because if all you're eating is processed and canned foods that vibrate at 0 hertz, then your body is working really hard and getting little nutritional value out of that food. Fresh food, as many of us know, in the raw food and organic food movement for pets and people, fresh food is the way to go. And the same goes for fresh herbs and fresh meat. And in fact, the dried herbs are, as with the dried foods, 15 to 22 hertz, which is just a little lower. So if you have a choice between canned and dried beans, for instance, dried beans are better. And I certainly am guilty of using canned beans on occasion because it takes a long time to soak dried beans and bring them back to life. But if I just put them in my soups a little earlier, then I'm able to use dried beans. And in fact, again, that is much easier on your digestive system if you are using, again, these foods at the higher frequencies. The closer to 30 hertz you can get your food, the better it is for your digestive system and your body in general. Excuse me, Biscuit. Are you playing with things over here on the table? A little bit. Let's look at some dysfunctional frequencies. Colds and flus start to take over at 57 to 60 hertz. Remember, your body in general, oh, I'm losing my Corgi necklace. I have to take him off. He came untied. Your body in general is like 70 to 80 hertz. So a cold or a flu, you don't have to be too low in your frequency to be susceptible to a cold or a flu. And generalized disease states start at about 58 hertz. Pollutants lower the frequency of your overall body. And Tesla, who we think of now when we think about cars, the original Tesla, the scientist, suggested that eliminating certain outside frequencies that interfere with the body can create greater resistance to disease. So this is that idea of people who live under power lines wondering if it's safe to do that. Well, you need to work really hard to keep your vibrational frequency up if you're living near a power line, because that frequency is bringing you down. So really important. Just these subtle things can make a big difference in your life. And when people talk about EMFs from your clock radio and your TV and things like that in your house, same idea. It's reducing the frequencies in your body. And so you need to do whatever you can to bring that frequency up so that you can stay healthy. Negative personalities and psychological stress are more prone to contracting colds because negative states of mind have a lower frequency than higher states of mind. Candida yeast is at 55 hertz, and Epstein-Barr, remember we had a whole lot of stuff with Epstein-Barr years ago, that's also around 50 hertz. You are receptive to cancer at about 42 hertz, and death begins at 25 hertz. Which is, again, about the frequency of like the lettuce, fresh pick that we'd be eating. You know, it's just a little bit above death. But of course, you know, we have to eat to survive, and so we are eating things that are dead. But that idea of cancer being 40 hertz, I mean, that means your body has lost half of its vibrational fortitude if you are susceptible to cancer, which of course I had, and I have lived in very toxic environments. I was crop dusted a few times in New Jersey when I was a teenager, and I have lived by polluted lakes, and I have lived in towns with very high carcinogens in the water and was not filtering my water, and I didn't know it. And I, as my friends pointed out, am fairly guilty of not washing my lettuce and not eating organic lettuce and eating a lot of lettuce for a lot of years. So I've had a pretty high pesticide intake in my body at some point, enough to bring my frequency down to 42 hertz. And also my emotional state at that time when I contracted the cancer was not good. And so I probably had a vibration of 40 hertz at that time. Well, I'm sure I did. So the things that you can do to bring your frequency up is to listen to these kinds of tuning forks, eat that fresh food, any kind of, farm-raised chickens and grass-fed beef, things like that really help raise your vibrational frequency. And the same for your pets. You want them to have optimal health. You can't always afford to buy organic food, but organic food is at a much higher frequency than food that has been sprayed. So if you look at what they call the list of the dirty dozen, there are 12 or so things that if you don't buy organic are much worse for you than others. I think kale is something that's not usually sprayed. It's a pretty hardy product. So, you can eat unorganic kale. Berries, on the other hand, with a high water content are practically at the top of the list of foods that you should absolutely always eat organic. And of course, they're a little more expensive, and they make really good frozen organic berries, which are more affordable. So just look at that list if you have any concerns about your health or your pet's health. And of course, investing in some organic berries can make a big difference in your health in the long run. And there are now studies showing that consumption of berries improves brain health. And again, they have a pretty high frequency, and they, of course, can feed your brain that is vibrating at 75 hertz or more if you have the good fortune of being a genius, which, of course, we think our dogs all are. So, really important things to keep in mind today about frequencies. You want high vibrations in your food. You want to get the freshest food you possibly can. And you want it as least processed and sprayed with pesticides as possible. Tristan just can hardly stand up. He's still digesting his bone. And the C256 and the G384 body tuners, try to bear with us, Tris. Again, vibrate in a perfect fifth. It's so much for him when I'm so close to him. He's just trying to hide his ears. Stay bis. And this tune can help relax your body and your nervous system. Tristan, come here, honey. We're having a dog situation. There you go. So you can see the longer he listens to it, the more he's relaxing. He's just sinking into my lap right now because he's nervous. These sounds are really intense for an animal, so it's really important that you know how to use these and try to keep them further from the pet's ears than where I am right now. And it's interesting, I've noticed they don't come across very well on the sound on this Facebook Live feed, so in real life they are a lot louder than what they sound on this thing. So that's some of the things we've talked about today, raising your frequencies to raise your health. And there is actually a company my friend is a big supporter of called Vibes Up. And everything they make, deodorant, personal care products, all of that has a high vibrational frequency to try to raise the frequency of your body with every time you brush your teeth or use anything in a personal care product line. So you can check out that company online. And my co-op actually even sells some of their products. And you can also use essential oils, which we'll talk about later. And you can use tuning forks to raise your frequency and bring health to your body and to your pet's body. And of course, thinking positive thoughts, smiling, enjoying the sunshine, all of those things raise your frequency. So it's really important to count your blessings in life and enjoy life, because that brings health to your body. And especially if you work in a stressful environment, take some time to look out the window, maybe do a heart hug, take some deep breaths. Try to bring yourself back to the place where you're happy and grateful, because that's when your vibration is the highest, and that's when you are in the greatest state of health. And I used to actually play these tuning forks at work sometimes when I was in a very stressful healthcare world, and it would just, everybody in the room would say, "Where's that pretty sound coming from?" And it doesn't always sound pretty when you're right next to it. It takes a little getting used to, but it would definitely help me get through the day. So I really recommend this particular pair of tuning forks if you have a healing practice. But as I mentioned previously, the C128 really is the best one. So if you only have one, get that one. So this has been Sally Morgan and Tristan Corgi, who's been a little nervous today. And we've been talking more about tuning forks, and today we've looked at the body tuners from the Biosonics company and some of the frequencies in the body and how we can maintain health and wellness for us and our pets over the long haul by paying a little bit more attention to the frequencies of the things that we use and eat in our lives. And that goes for the people you have around you too. You want to have people around you with a high frequency, not a low frequency. So we will see you again. I'm not sure when. I'm leaving for the beach tomorrow morning, and I think I have one more tuning fork talk that's kind of briefer. We're coming up to the chakra talk, which will be quite long and detailed. I don't know if I'll be able to do that from the Cape. We might have to put that on hold till I get back and do some other talks while we're down there in beautiful Provincetown, Mass. So we will see you probably tomorrow. And certainly over the weekend, but I don't know if we'll be talking about forks over the weekend. Everybody have a great day. Do you want your own chair? Is that the problem here? The lap is not comfortable. Thanks for joining us, and think about raising your vibration today. A smile, a kind word to someone, thinking about things you're grateful for, taking some deep breaths through your body, all can raise your vibration, as well as working with tuning forks. Well, this is Sally Morgan and Tristan Corgi. We'll see you soon. Have a great day.